When your car's transmission starts to slip, stall, or produce weird sounds, it may be time to replace the shift solenoid. A bad shift solenoid can cause all sorts of problems, from a loss of power and hesitation when accelerating to complete transmission failure. In this video, I'll show you how to identify a bad shift solenoid and how to go about replacing it. The most common symptoms of a bad shift solenoid are problems with shifting gears, such as delayed shifts, transmission slipping, or having your vehicle stuck in a single gear. The main cause of the problem is not changing the transmission fluid, and the repair will set you back between $300 and $500. What is a shift solenoid? A shift solenoid is a device that controls the flow of transmission fluid in your car. It's usually located in the transmission and is operated by hydraulic pressure. It is responsible for engaging and disengaging the transmission's gears. To be more precise, a shift solenoid is a type of electrical switch used to control the shifting of gears in a vehicle. As a vital component of an automatic transmission, the shift solenoid helps control the flow of transmission fluid and regulates the pressure in the transmission. When the transmission is in park or neutral, the hydraulic fluid pressure is at its lowest. As the transmission is put into gear, hydraulic fluid pressure builds up behind a series of check valves. This increase in hydraulic fluid pressure activates the shift solenoids, which in turn engage the appropriate clutches and bands. Shift solenoids can fail for various reasons, such as worn-out seals or O-rings, dirt or debris in the fluid, or a loss of hydraulic pressure. If a shift solenoid fails, it can cause the vehicle to become stuck in one gear, or cause the transmission to shift erratically. 8 symptoms of a bad shift solenoid. There are several symptoms that can indicate a problem with the shift solenoid. 1. Delayed shifting. One of the most common symptoms of a bad shift solenoid is delayed shifting. This can happen when the shift solenoid is not opening or closing properly, which prevents the transmission from shifting gears at the correct time. This can cause the engine to rev up before shifting gears, which can lead to slipping and jerking. 2. Overheating transmission. If the shift solenoid is not working correctly, it can also cause the transmission to overheat. This can happen because the transmission fluid is not flowing through the shift solenoid correctly. When the transmission fluid gets too hot, it can cause damage to the transmission components. 3. Transmission fluid leak. Transmission fluid leak is another symptom of a bad shift solenoid. This can happen when the shift solenoid is not sealing properly. This can cause transmission fluid to leak out, which can lead to low transmission fluid levels. 4. Strange engine noises. If your engine starts making strange noises, it could be a sign of a bad shift solenoid. These noises can include grinding, whining, or humming. If you hear these noises, it is crucial to stop as soon as possible and have your vehicle checked by a professional. 5. Transmission slipping. Transmission slipping is another symptom of a bad shift solenoid. This can happen when the shift solenoid is not working correctly and the transmission is not shifting gears properly. This can cause the engine to rev up without the vehicle moving, or it can cause the vehicle to jerk when shifting gears. 6. Stuck in a gear. If a shift solenoid is not working correctly, it can cause the vehicle to become stuck in one gear. This can happen because the shift solenoid is not engaging or disengaging the trans gears properly. 7. The check engine light. Another sign of trouble is the check engine light being illuminated on the dashboard. This will most likely indicate a problem with the shift solenoid. If such is the case, then you will most likely see a P0700 code, which refers to a transmission control system malfunction. 8. Check transmission light. Your car might have a dedicated transmission control light instead of the check engine light. This will help you narrow down the problem of transmission. These problems can often be fixed with a simple adjustment or replacement of the shift solenoid. However, if the problem is more serious, the transmission may require a complete rebuild. How to replace a bad shift solenoid. If you suspect that your shift solenoid is having problems, it's important to have it checked out by a qualified mechanic as soon as possible. Once it has been confirmed that the shift solenoid needs to be replaced, follow these steps. 1. Park the car on a level surface and set the parking brake. 2. Disconnect the negative battery cable. 3. Remove the transmission pan. 4. Drain the transmission fluid. 5. Disconnect the shift solenoid wiring harness. 6. Remove the shift solenoid from the transmission. 7. Install the new shift solenoid in the transmission and reconnect the wiring harness. 8. Reinstall the transmission pan and fill the transmission with new fluid. 9. Reconnect the negative battery cable and start the engine to check for leaks. However, we still recommend that you go and see a mechanic to get the job done correctly. Replacing a shift solenoid is not a difficult task, but it's always best to leave it to the professionals. What causes a shift solenoid to go bad? There are several reasons why a shift solenoid might go bad. These include wear and tear. Over time, the shift solenoid can become worn out from all the use. This can cause it to start malfunctioning. For example, The most common culprits are worn-out seals or O-rings. Dirty transmission fluid. If the transmission fluid is dirty, it can cause the shift solenoid to become clogged. This can prevent it from working properly. This can happen if the transmission fluid is not replaced at the required intervals. Low transmission fluid. If the transmission fluid is low, it can cause the shift solenoid not to work correctly. Low fluid levels can occur if there is a leak in the system. Electrical problems. The shift solenoid is an electrical device, so if there are any electrical problems, it can affect its operation. If the solenoid is not receiving enough power, it can fail. This may be due to a faulty wiring connection, a blown fuse, or a defective relay. In most cases, the shift solenoid will need to be replaced. However, if the problem is due to something like dirty transmission fluid, then simply changing the fluid may be all that is required. It is always best to have any problems with your transmission checked out as soon as possible to avoid further damage. How much does it cost to replace a shift solenoid? The cost to replace a shift solenoid will vary depending on the year, make, and model of your vehicle. In most cases, you can expect to pay between $200 and $400 for a new shift solenoid. Keep in mind that this is just an estimate, and the actual cost of replacement will vary depending on the severity of the problem and the type of transmission you have. If you need to have your shift solenoid replaced, the best way to get an accurate estimate is to take your car to a qualified mechanic or transmission specialist. They will be able to diagnose the problem and give you a more accurate estimate of the cost of repairs. Additionally, if you are not lucky enough to have a mechanic friend, you may also have to pay for labor costs, which can range from $50 to $100 per hour. To summarize what we talked about in this video, symptoms of a bad shift solenoid can include delayed shifting, overheating, fluid leaks, strange engine noises, transmission slippage, being stuck in a gear, the check engine light being on, or check transmission light on. If you're experiencing problems with your transmission, the best course of action is to take your car to a qualified mechanic or transmission specialist for diagnosis and repair. I hope this video helped. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like and follow so you don't miss any of my videos.